Now, the American President Joe Biden, who's facing a lot of criticism for his handling of the Israeli war in the Gaza Strip, has now slammed the anti-war protests that are taking place in American universities. The American president claims that these protests against the war are blatant anti-Semitism and therefore they are reprehensible and dangerous. Now, this statement has come amidst the continued anti-war protests that have taken place in some of the biggest American universities, including the Columbia University, where the crisis has triggered a rabbi to urge Jewish students to actually stay on at home until the tense environment of the Ivy League school subsides. Even though Joe Biden did not mention Columbia University in his statement, he still stressed that anti-Semitism has absolutely no place on college campuses or anywhere in the world. But the critics of Joe Biden have said that the American president is conflating anti-war protests as anti-Semitism. The college campuses across the United States have been rocked by anti-war demonstrations for several months, where thousands of young students have in fact come out onto the streets and onto the college campuses, where they're saying that it is important that the Americans should stop giving arms to Israel, where it is carrying out its offensive in which 34,000 Palestinians have been killed. The Columbia University crisis, remember, escalated recently after the university officials testified before the U.S. Congress about the anti-war protests on campus. Columbia University has also called off in-person classes for the time being. On Friday last week, the varsity's president authorized the New York Police Department to raid the anti-war demonstrators, which led to the arrest of as many as about 108 students who were protesting against the war. The protests at Columbia aren't a one-off incident. They've also spread to Yale in Connecticut and to New York University in Manhattan. The demonstrators also blocked traffic around Yale's campus in New Haven, demanding that the school should divest from the military weapons manufacturers. And authorities arrested as many as about 45 students who were staging these anti-war demonstrations. In New York City, the officers moved on to the New York University campus after dusk as the demonstrators for several hours had defied the university's warnings of facing consequences if they failed to vacate the plaza where they had gathered. Some anti-war demonstrators also were roughed up by the police officers.
There's none over there.
Now, since the 7th of October, American universities have become a bit of a hotbed of these kind of protests, where people are demanding that the United States government must be aware of the role it has played in this war, where it has supplied ammunition to the state of Israel, with which it has carried out this offensive in the Gaza Strip. The presidents of multiple universities are being questioned by the Republican majority House over reported rise in instances of anti-Semitism on college campuses, with Harvard and the University of Pennsylvania presidents later resigning. But last week, the University of Southern California had faced protests after the university had cancelled the valedictorian speech of a Muslim student who had posted on social media in support of the people in Palestine who are under the pump by the Israelis. In North California, tensions remain pretty high at the University of California, Berkeley, after anti-war demonstrating students criticized the state of Israel at a dinner that was hosted by Berkeley's law school dean. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.